What if I told you that one of the key missing ingredients from your goal setting is you haven't planned to fail? What? You'd probably say to me. What do you mean? Why should I plan to fail? Isn't the whole point of me going after my goals to be successful? You're absolutely right. But here's what happens when we're going after our goals, and it doesn't matter whether it's a big goal, a little goal, an in between goal. We all know and have all experienced the fact that going after your goals is not a linear line to success. It's not just step one, step two, step three to the end, yay, goal achieved. What inevitably happens is that along the way, we meet with challenges, with things we didn't expect, or things just don't go the way that we expected. And so the key to success is really preparing ourselves for that, preparing our minds for the fact that, hey, things could go wrong. So how do you do that? Okay, for a second, I'm going to take you back to my former life. See, in my former life, I was a management consultant and I managed projects, multiple year, multi-department, complex projects, multi-million dollar typically. So there was a lot at stake. And one of the things that I would do as a project manager was to come in and obviously would do all the things, prepare the plan, have a budget, what's our scope, all the people that are going to work on the project. But it would also prepare this other document called a risk mitigation strategy. So what does that mean? So what I would do, literally at its simplest, is I would go and meet with the various people who'd be involved in the project. So this could be the leaders, it could be the actual team members who'd be doing the work. And I'd sit down with them and we'd have a conversation around what were some of the risks that they saw with the project? What were some of the things that they could anticipate could go wrong? Now, this might have been based on their previous experience. Maybe they'd done other projects and they could say, hey, this is what went wrong with a previous project we did. Or it could be from things they'd heard in the industry about projects that had gone sideways, or even just their own gut feel about, I'm a little bit concerned about this thing. And so I'd write all of those things down and I'd also brainstorm about things maybe they hadn't thought about. And I'd come up with this list of risks, things that could go wrong on the path towards this goal, which is the project that we're working on. And then what we'd do is we'd rank them. We'd give them a probability. How likely is it that this thing will happen? And so we'd rank them high, medium, low in terms of probability. Then we'd look at them, and especially the ones that were high and medium, and say, okay, if this thing happened, how would we deal with it? And so you kind of do an exercise of, okay, this happens, this is what we do to make sure that it doesn't impact the rest of the project, or here's how we'd change course, or here are the things that we'd need to do to deviate from our original plan. And so we'd write all of this down and it'd be maintained as a risk log throughout the project. And it's something that we'd come to frequently in the project, just kind of refreshing our memories about these things that we'd said are risks. And assessing, have any of these happened? What have we done about them? And what are we going to do if they're new risks that identify themselves? Now, here's what I'm saying about how that relates to your goals. What many of us never stop to think about is, what will I do if things don't go according to plan? Now, it does a couple of things for you by having that thought process. First of all, it allows you to allow your mind to acknowledge that, things could go wrong. So that when things do go wrong, it's not a total surprise to you and it doesn't leave you stranded on the ropes or knocked out. You know things are going to go wrong. Now, you can't anticipate everything that could go wrong or everything that's not going to go to plan. That's not the point. You see, I know coming into 2020, for example, there is nobody who could have said, oh, yeah, there's going to be a global pandemic that's going to shut the whole world down. No one had that, I'm sure, on their risk register. But as I said, what it does is prime your mind to think about, hey, things could go wrong. but I'll still be okay because I have this plan. I've planned out the things that I know could go wrong. And if anything comes up that wasn't planned or that wasn't anticipated, I still know that, you know what? I'm okay because I can think of a plan. So what are some of the things that could go wrong when it comes to going towards your goals, and how do you start to identify those? Well, first of all, for many of us, we've obviously chased goals in the past that we didn't achieve. I really don't know anybody who has achieved every single goal that they were going after. So that's a great starting point to think about what went wrong. You see, so many of us don't like to do the reflection after things go wrong. We just want to park it in the cupboard, close the door on that, and never look at it again. But you actually learn so much more from your failures or the things that don't go according to plan than the things that do. There's so much to be learned from that information that comes from not achieving the goal. And so that's a great starting place. In the past, when I was going after this goal, here are all the things that didn't go according to plan. And literally make a written list. Then think about maybe things that haven't gone wrong before, but that could, based on what you know about the goal that you're going after, based on looking at maybe other people who have achieved a similar goal. And so you write down those things too, that they've never happened to me, but here's what I think could go wrong. Then, as I said, you literally go through and you rank them. Say, how likely is it that this thing could go wrong for me, or that this is what would happen if things don't go according to plan? Then when you've done that, the next thing you want to think about is, if this thing did go wrong, or if this thing didn't go according to plan, how am I going to deal with it? So you already start to get into that mindset of problem solving. You already start to, as I said, prime your mind for the fact that things may not go according to plan, but I am still okay. It's kind of like, I love to call it a GPS, right? You're going from A to B. You're going from, from San Diego to LA. And what you think about is, okay, this is my destination in LA. Now, you might miss a turn, or you might get to a road that you were going to take and that road is closed, or there are roadworks and you have to take a different plan. That's exactly what this is. It's allowing you to anticipate some of those things. Doesn't mean you're not going to get to your goal, just means you might need to take a different path towards that. So as I said, you write down the things you know could go wrong, you write down the things that you think could go wrong, and then rank them. Then think about, okay, what would I do if this didn't go according to plan? And so that for many people is what is the difference between success and failure, or success and not achieving their goals. They haven't anticipated the fact that things won't go according to plan, and so they're caught flat-footed. And for a lot of people, they get knocked down and then they never get up again. They get discouraged from going after their goals because, well, what if things go wrong? Hate to break it to you, Buttercup, things are going to go wrong. And what differentiates the people who succeed from those who don't is the fact that they're willing, word of 2020, to pivot, to take a different path, to do something different. So that's what I'd like for you to think about is, as I'm going towards this goal, how can I plan to fail? How can I plan to fail? What are the things that could go wrong? And now you've anticipated, at least as best you can. Of course, there'll always be those unknowns, but at least you can start to mentally prepare yourself for what that will look like, and the fact that you absolutely have the skills, the abilities to figure out a different plan.